This video is a call for the Texas Court of Inquiry regarding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. We see a black and white image of two men, one of whom is Lyndon B. Johnson. The atmosphere after the swearing in of Lyndon B. Johnson was somber and tense, as shown by this photo of the group on Air Force One. At 2:45 p.m. in Dallas, various police units were involved in different locations related to the day's events, including Oswald's arrest and the search of his room. The murder of the president was a state crime, not a federal case. Multiple points suggest a need for further investigation, including Oswald's reported location during the shooting and conflicting accounts of his actions. More points requiring investigation include Oswald's multiple billfolds, his jacket, and the quick accusation of him as the assassin shortly after the president's death was announced. Furthermore, the police search of Ruth Paine's house in Irving, where Mrs. Oswald was staying, raises questions about jurisdiction and the language barrier, as Mrs. Oswald was later seen speaking English. If a real investigation had taken place, we would know who killed JFK, where the shots came from, and potentially avoided a change in government. Instead of a true investigation, fake evidence was allegedly used to persuade the public and shape the narrative. Oswald's reported times and movements on November 22nd, from the Texas School Book Depository to the Texas Theater, do not seem to align. Other issues that don't add up include his rapid arrest without collected evidence, uncompleted investigation, and the questionable sighting by the boarding house lady. Before 12:30 p.m., Oswald acted carefully, securing a job, ordering a rifle without a record, and assembling it unnoticed. He shot the president and escaped without being seen. After 12:30 p.m., he acted carelessly, leaving the rifle and shell casing, taking a bus and taxi, and being identified. This raises the question of how this could be the same person. With the death of Oswald, the prime suspect, the case was declared closed, ending the investigation. That was the story you heard. Now, hear the rest of the story. On November 26, 1963, Texas Attorney General Wagoner Carr called for a state court of inquiry. However, this inquiry was indefinitely delayed at the urging of Chief Justice Earl Warren and ultimately never held. This image contrasts Chief Justice Earl Warren and Texas Attorney General Wagoner Carr, representing the conflict between the courts regarding the investigation. Oral history suggests Chief Justice Earl Warren convinced Carr to not proceed with the court of inquiry, agreeing instead to be invited into the federal hearings with full access. Earl Warren effectively shut down the Texas Court of Inquiry. Carr's subsequent report, agreeing with the Warren Commission, concluded that Oswald was the lone assassin. Since a court of inquiry was not held, this is viewed as an official cover-up. There is a call for a petition to have a Texas court of inquiry now, as no statute of limitations exists for murder. The Texas Theater in Oak Cliff was a historic landmark, known as the first movie theater in Dallas, built specifically to show sound movies. This location is significant as the place where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested on November 22, 1963. The precise location and the specific charges for Oswald's arrest in the Texas Theater remain points of contention and interest. Many things require proper investigation, such as the pistol's bent firing pin, the arrest of two individuals, Oswald's timing, and his purpose for being at the movie theater. Gerald Lynn Hill, a Dallas police officer, was present at many key scenes on November 22, 1963, providing extensive testimony to the Warren Commission about his active participation. Despite working in personnel, Sergeant Hill was present at 3 crime scenes in less than 1 hour: the book depository, the Tippit murder, and Oswald's arrest. Is this a coincidence? This image shows Sergeant Hill at the Texas School Book Depository building on November 22, 1963. Hill's day began in the personnel office, with no assignment related to the president's visit. After witnessing the motorcade, he went to the Texas School Book Depository, found shell casings, and then headed to the Tippit murder scene. The existence of multiple billfolds found on Oswald is suspicious, especially if they all contain the same identification. The shell casings from the Tippit scene were not from the same pistol, though the firing pin apparently worked on these bullets. Captain Westbrook is credited with finding the jacket linked to the investigation. Captain Westbrook also reportedly found a wallet connected to the case. Of the almost 2,000 DPD officers, key discoveries were made by officers not usually involved in investigations, such as those from the personnel office and an off-duty reserve officer. This image is blank. Phone records show a 1 p.m. collect call between Michael and Ruth Paine, during which Michael stated, "We both know who is responsible. suggesting foreknowledge. Michael Payne testified to the Warren Commission that he lived at 2515 West 5th Street, Irving, Texas, despite having moved out of the house he shared with Ruth in October 1962. Deputy Buddy Walther's statement details the police arrival at Ruth Payne's house. Ruth Payne said, "We've been expecting it," and granted permission to search the house, including Mrs. Oswald's belongings, despite not having jurisdiction or a warrant. Upon Michael Payne's arrival, he seemed unsurprised. Evidence like Cuban-related materials was confiscated and turned over to Captain Fritz in the Secret Service. Ruth Payne's phrase, "Come on in, we have been expecting you," clearly suggests a conspiracy. She couldn't legally grant permission to search or seize Mrs. Oswald's materials, especially before Oswald was interrogated by a police department without jurisdiction. This image is a reminder of the materials that were seized and handed over to the police under questionable circumstances. This image shows the couch where Marina Oswald was seated when officers arrived and the garage that the officers searched. The claim is made that Oswald is innocent and all evidence was illegally obtained, based on the precedent set in Chapman v. United States, 365 U.S. 610 from 1961. The Supreme Court case ruled that a search and seizure were unlawful when state police officers entered a rented house without a warrant or the tenant's consent, even with the landlord's permission. The video suggests Ruth Payne's sister and father worked with the CIA,